Hello everybody, welcome. This is Nico from Unicorn Riot. We are here in downtown Minneapolis, across the street from the City Hall and the jail, in the area of the Hennepin County Government Center, here for a protest, an emergency protest for justice for Brian Quinones. A lot of his family is here, his closest relatives, his wife, his son. And right now people are gathering here at the government center, and you see this banner, Justice for Brian. This shit ain't fair to us. Dash America. KKKA. BTMG over here is Bless the MC. Excuse me, not G. BTMC is Bless the MC. Brian Quinones was a 30-year-old hip-hop artist, husband, father, worker, barber. He was gunned down by Richfield and Edina police last month on September 7th. Right now people are gathering for justice for him. This is his music that's playing right now. He had just dropped an album called Time. This is my everything. Again, his name was Blessed the MC. It's on YouTube, I believe, and it's also, he has a SoundCloud channel. And a lot of the family is gathered, as we said. You see some signs that says hold them accountable. We demand justice. Justice for Brian, Bless the MC, justice for Isaac, and justice for Brian. You see Isaac's name. This is Isaac's family right here. And Isaac, Aiden, his siblings were here and continuing to fight, continuing to press for transparency and accountability for not only their brother's death by police in Egan on July 2nd, but also Brian Quinones' death by police on September 7th in Richfield. And so again, we're here in downtown Minneapolis. You hear the music of Bless the MC, Brian Quinones, who was killed by Edina and Richfield police. All officers that were involved in this shooting have all been back on the duty. They're all getting paid the whole time, and they were off duty for a few weeks. Beyond that, they have been on duty since then. Again, this is Nico from Unicorn Riot. We are here in downtown Minneapolis, here at an emergency protest for justice for Brian Quinones. This is actually Brian Quinones' music that's playing. Bless the MC was his MC name. And you can see that right there. All of these chains, I don't know where to go. All of these cameras got us patrol. Okay, how am I supposed to raise my child in a world that's violent and so far the environment I'm living in allows that a human being suffers because he's brown. You see signs that are talking about his lyrics. Here's the three of the officers from Richfield that are written on this sign, and they're all back on duty. This is his son right here in the middle with the Puerto Rican flag that says "Stop killing us." His wife is in the back right here. You see right here is more family members. Justice for Isaac. Again, we talk about Isaac Aiden, July 2nd, killed by Egan police. Here's some more signs. Okay, how am I supposed to raise my child in a world that's violent and so far the environment? And you hear the music of Brian Quinones.
She didn't come when we gathered right after it happened.
And we'll get some interviews and we'll speak to some folks in a minute here after some of the rally. We don't know if there'll be a march, but there's possibly going to be a march. It's going to be a little rally. If you want to know more about Brian Quinones, we have covered it pretty extensively in about 3 or 4 posts. One of the pieces earlier this week that we dropped is an interview with his mother, his sister, and his son. And so you can hear their thoughts. You check out our article on it. It goes a little deeper than what the video does. And again, this is for Brian Quinones, who was killed September 7th, 2019. I'll give you all, there's not a ton of people, but I'll give you all a top view. And this is the City Hall of Minneapolis that you're looking at right now. Brian was from Puerto Rico. He was moved here when he was 4 years old. He has been here since he was 4. He worked at General Mills for the last 5 years. General Mills is a large producer of a bunch of different goods and products and services. Well, not really services, but products. One of the people who, Chara Blanche, one of the people who was actually speaking at a few of these Richfield and Edina city council meetings in this last month, as the family was attending these meetings, seeking transparency and seeking justice. She spoke from the realm of being a Richfield resident and from also having a black son and saying her son doesn't feel safe, she doesn't feel safe. And she also spoke about Brian and how loved Brian was, and that during Brian's funeral, actually many managers and executives from General Mills attended. And so, showing what Brian's character was.
And it says, now the works of the flesh are manifest, meaning the things that are in the sinful nature, they always come to the surface. And when they come to the surface,
We'll probably be about 34 minutes late tonight. What do you guys like? Just one on this way.
So yeah, again, thank you all for joining us. Nico from Unicorn Riot. This rally is going to start, I think, in a few moments. I'm going to try to speak to somebody. If it doesn't start in a moment.
Spiritual. No, I'm not pushing. No, I'm not pushing. Just yeah. I am not poison. No, I am not poison. Just a boy from the hood that got my hands in the air and despair. Don't shoot. I just want to do good. I am not poison. No, I am not poison. Just a boy from the hood that got my hands in the air and despair. Don't shoot. I just want to do good. Pray your father's father wasn't touching his little daughter, creating transgenerational trauma that shit'll haunt you. Pray your little cousin ain't far from the place that you fall asleep. Of course it's hard. Nigga ain't those, I ain't washing the week. I ain't changing roads to the back. Y'all can have that. I'm smack dad in a hurricane of emotion. It's my little daughter, my little Carter. We call her Blue cause it's snack dad. How can I be a dad? I never had them. Shattered in a million pieces with a glass at. I need a drink straight or something. I need an angelic voice to sing something. Bless my soul. Extend your arms, I'm cold. Hold me for a half hour till I'm home. I am not poison, no, I am not poison. It's a boy from the hood that I just want to do good. No, I'm not poison. No, I'm not poison. Spiritual, yes it is spiritual. No, I'm not pushing. No, I'm not pushing. Just Shit hiding in holes and behind hyperbole. This is the real me unfold. Gangsta rich love, I'm thugging, I'm hugging. This is tougher than any gun that I raised, any crack that I blazed out.
So, we're joined by Dini. You want to talk about just basically introduce everybody to who you are, and then your brother, and then also Brian's case and what's happening. Your family is continuing to fight for for justice for Brian and transparency for Brian's death as well. So can you just break all that down?
Yeah. So my name is Dini. I'm the younger brother of Isaac Aiden. And basically what happened was Isaac was on July 2nd. He was shot and killed by 5 police officers. The reason I'm out here is the same exact thing happened to Brian. He was also shot and killed by 5 officers, and the family's being disrespected just like we've been disrespected. So my goal is to just try to get some transparency and justice for Isaac and Brian.
And then what does it mean? What has it meant for you to have, support? You've had support through the system or through trying to work with the system to try to get some of this transparency to come through, and you've had some community members come to your support. But then also you've seen Brian's family go through this, and now you're providing the support. What is that? How did that come about from your end?
So basically what we did, we made a lot of progress throughout Isaac's case. We made a lot of mistakes, and we just wanted to reach out to Brian's family to help with that learning curve and make sure that they get the documentation in time. They get the justice that they deserve, and they don't get the runaround like we got the runaround. So if we can help another family, that'd be awesome, because all families deserve justice.
Last thing because they're starting, any update on your brother's case?
Absolutely nothing. It's currently in the hands of the prosecutor. He is going to make a determination early November, so we're just looking forward to what he has to say, but that's not where we'll stop. Nobody wants to release any footage, and it's kind of at a standstill, but we're still going to keep fighting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Understand our real enemies are fighting every day to make it easier for brutal cops to get away with murder. They are passing laws, raising money, electing officials, and appointing supporters to every available bench in the country. We cannot afford to fight amongst ourselves. We need to organize. From James C. Ho. I would like to formally introduce myself. My name is Zeta Henry. I am the sister of Dantelo Wright, who was murdered by police May 31st, 2012, in Brooklyn Center, Minnesota. I was an 11th grader at that time when my brother was killed. And at that time, I didn't feel like I had a voice. I didn't know where to turn. I was obviously grieving with my family, as many of us are here today. And now joining the families of Isaac, Aiden, and Brian Quinones, I have found my voice. I'm here to represent all of our families and fight for justice.
Thank you, Zeta. Next, we're going to have Shara. She's going to come and speak with you guys.
Hi, my name is Shara Blanche. I am a friend of the Quinones family, and am now friends with the Aiden family as well. The system has allowed these families to lose their loved ones and is working exactly as it was intended to. The police started out with the purpose of catching enslaved people who had escaped. While enslaving people is no longer codified in the laws of our country, it is in practice. Because of that, police are taught to fear brown and black skin. This is why these families have lost their loved ones. The Richfield police terrorized my black son for the first time when he was 9 years old. His crime? Sitting in the car while I went into a convenience store. I came out to my car to two officers with their arms crossed and looking angry. Their stances changed when they saw me, a white woman. I can't help but wonder what would have happened had he been with his dad. My son is now 14, and he just recently decided to stay in the car when I go into a store. The trauma starts young. Last weekend, he, Cameron, who is Brian's son, and a friend of theirs left my house to walk to the store. Memories of Trayvon Martin flashed through my mind, especially with the 3 Richfield officers responsible for Brian's murder being back on the street. There is zero accountability so far for what these officers have done to Brian. They can be back to work in as little as 3 days after killing someone at their chief's discretion, even while an investigation is still being conducted. If it was any of the rest of us, any of us white people, that wouldn't happen. The system protects them,
Listen.
not us. The state believes that these officers have a lot of training. They don't. Most of their training can be done online, where they can click through and not actually pay attention. They get a lot of training on use of force, meaning how to hurt and kill people, but very little in de-escalation and virtually none on race and implicit bias. One of the officers from the City of Edina had implicit bias training 2 days before he murdered Brian. 2 days. Clearly, his training didn't work. All of this leads to 2019 being the deadliest year for police killings since Communities United Against Police Brutality started counting in 2000. And the year isn't over yet. Nationwide, we have seen police officers kill people over literally nothing. Tatiana Jefferson was sitting on her couch playing video games with her nephew. Botham Jean was eating ice cream on his couch. Eric Garner was selling loose cigarettes. Sandra Bland was driving to work. John Crawford was holding a toy gun in Walmart. Alton Sterling was selling CDs, and Tamir Rice, just 12 years old, was playing at a park. Here in Minnesota, Philando Castile was showing the cop his conceal and carry permit. Jamar Clark was already handcuffed. Justine Demond called because she was concerned someone was being assaulted and she ended up dead. Dontailo Wright was walking down the street, yes, maybe with a rifle, but he wasn't threatening anyone. Brian Quinones and Isaac Aiden are not anomalies. This is what our system does. If you don't see it, at this point, it's willful ignorance. I demand transparency. I demand that the officers responsible for Brian's murder and Isaac's murder be fired. And I demand that these officers be charged with murder. Thank you.
And we're going to do a chant real quick. Indict, convict, send those killer cops to jail. The whole damn system is guilty as hell. Indict, convict, send those killer cops to jail. The whole damn system is guilty as hell. Indict, convict, send those killer cops to jail. The whole damn system is guilty as hell. No, that's okay. I like the spirit. And with that, we're going to have Jeanette Blevins. Jeanette is the aunt of Thurman June Blevins, who was killed by the Minneapolis Police Department of June of last year.
Hi, everybody. Hi. My name is Jeanette, and Junior was my nephew, and he was shot last year by the police. And we're still working on, trying to, and as you try to get the system better, so these killings can stop. And it's too bad. It's too bad I had to be out here again. It shows, how far we've came, but I think if we work together, and stop the violence here, and because it is too bad when families have to go through things like this. I know how they feel because we went through it too for Junior. So right now, though, I'm glad everybody came out, and I hope we continue to do so. I miss Junior. He was young, and it's too bad he had to leave that way. But we all miss him. But we still have to go on. But I'm glad everybody came out to support, like the families, and the victims of these shootings. And I hope they will come to a stop, or we can come with some kind of conclusion or something, that's going to build the community and help the community. So I hope that will happen.
Justice for June!
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 Thank you. And next we're going to have a speaker from the Anti-War Committee, if they want to go ahead and come up here and introduce themselves. And actually the Anti-War Committee, for some people who don't know, came out right away to the 4th Precinct when Jamar was killed. Actually, one of our members from the Twin Cities Coalition for Justice for Jamar actually started doing that from the Anti-War Committee, and then came over and started working with the Twin Cities Coalition for Justice for Jamar. So they're a great partner in the movement, and we appreciate them.
Thank you. The Anti-War Committee stands in solidarity with the Black Lives Matter movement and recognizes that the militarization of our streets and the gunning down of our black and brown neighbors is intrinsically linked to U.S. imperialist militarism around the globe, as well as the U.S. violence towards black and brown peoples on tribal lands in the Middle East, in Latin America, in Africa, and across the world. The militarization of U.S. police feeds on imperialism and the dehumanization of people of color. Police departments are driven by a culture of fear, acting like they're in a war zone. It is not a coincidence that some of the over 90 police officers who shot Isaac Aiden had killed before and were allowed to return to active duty, just as Brian Quinones' murderers were allowed back in the field only 1 month after gunning him down. Why does the Edina Police Department even need military-grade armored vehicles? It is not a coincidence that the police departments responsible for the murders of Isaac Aiden and Brian Quinones go on exchange programs to Israel, where they learn the latest strategies of urban warfare and population control from the Israeli Defense Forces, who themselves perfect these tactics against Palestinians. The technologies and tactics used to dehumanize refugees at the border were also developed in occupied Palestine. In fact, the Trump administration specifically chose these technologies because they were proven against Palestinians. During Ferguson, Palestinians identified the tactics being used as those that are routinely used against them and sent messages of solidarity and advice. We saw these same strategies again at Standing Rock, that time being used against Dakota and Lakota people. It is horrifically ironic that these two men sought a better life here, only to be murdered by police. Their original homes have also long suffered from U.S. imperialism. The U.S. military is still drone striking Somalia, Isaac Aiden's homeland. Somalis came here as refugees to America, only to come under such heavy policing and surveillance that children in the Cedar Riverside area recognize FBI vans as a fact of life. Brian Quinones hailed from Puerto Rico, which has long suffered from U.S. imperialism. The U.S. refuses to either grant it independence or give it the resources necessary to recover from yet another brutal hurricane. Puerto Rico's recovery has been put under the jurisdiction of a U.S. consulting firm, which has systematically privatized and stripped away the social safety nets Puerto Ricans had left, the same process the U.S. has forced upon vulnerable nations around the world. While Black Americans suffer the brunt of violence at the hands of the police, Latinx Americans, Asian Americans, Native Americans, and trans folks have experienced their fair share of militaristic aggression from our police departments. The Anti-War Committee mourns these additional victims of police brutality and stands in solidarity with them to stop U.S. militarism, both within our own borders and abroad. When Somali lives are under attack, what do we do? Stand up, fight back! When Puerto Rican lives are under attack, what do we do? Stand up, fight back! Thank you. Stand up, fight back!
Thank you. And next we're going to have Abdini, brother of Isaac Aiden.
Hi, yeah, so my name is Dini Aiden. I'm the brother of Isaac Aiden. As some of you guys may know, Isaac Aiden was shot and killed in Eagan, Minnesota on July 2nd by 5 police officers. As soon as that happened, I immediately wanted to fight for justice. The police departments and everyone involved has made this an extremely hard process. But people like you guys who come out and support the families means a lot. So as a family member, what you guys continue to do is amazing. We just need you guys to keep coming out, keep helping all the families of police brutality. So that's the reason why I'm here today. Although I never met Brian in my life, Brian was also shot and killed unjustly by 5 officers. In Isaac's incident, over 90 officers were called. In Brian's, over 100. I thought Isaac's situation will never happen to anyone in Minnesota again. I thought that was one isolated incident. And 2 months later, it was Brian. 2 months from now, who knows who it could be. It's people like us who have to keep coming out when it's negative temperatures, when it's extremely cold, when it's extremely hot. Keep voicing our opinions, keep going to the city council meetings, because the only way that we're gonna get justice is if we keep fighting and if we make them uncomfortable. There's a reason why they're not releasing any evidence, because Isaac was innocent, Brian was innocent.
That's right.
They know exactly what's on that footage, so, and if they release that, there's gonna be public outrage. So we all know that Brian and Isaac were both innocent, so let's keep fighting for them and get the justice that they deserve. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeannie.
And I forgot to introduce Sam. If you guys don't know Sam, he is amazing. He's been with TCC4J for a long time. This guy is the man to have at every protest. He knows how to stick it to the men. So give him a round of applause, man. I love this man.
I appreciate that. I'm not supposed to be smiling because it's us. Thank you too for that. I really appreciate that, and I really appreciate the people here in the movement. We're coming up on the 4-year anniversary of the murder of Jamar Clark in November 15th. It's a Friday, so please join us there. We'll be on the corner of James and Plymouth, I apologize, at 6 p.m. And so we're going to honor Jamar and his legacy. There's been a lot of people who've been killed by the police in Minnesota and across the country, and it's got to stop, especially because we know it's racist-based killing. Like a sister spoke earlier, from slavery we went into political prisons, and the modern day lynching is actually police brutality, killing mainly black people, brown people, and especially our indigenous brothers and sisters. There's a reason for that. It's social control, and it has to stop. That's why it targets black and brown people in low income communities, and unfortunately the need for control over this political and economic system is getting so great that they even will kill a white woman in a rich neighborhood nowadays. And so that lets us know that no one is safe. And that's why we have to stop this. And that's why the Twin Cities Coalition for Justice for Jamar is working for community control of the police, because no one will stop the police. We, the community, and people who are impacted by this, the poor, the working people, black and brown indigenous people, we are the ones who have to take control over our lives and take control of the police. And that's why we are working for an all-civilian police accountability council. And we're actually going to be going to a conference here in the next month, in November, the weekend of November 20th, because it's not just, this doesn't just need to happen here. It needs to be a national movement for police accountability. And so we'll be joining activists and refounding of the National Alliance in Chicago. And for people who aren't familiar, the National Alliance was the committee that worked to free Angela Davis. And so we're serious. We're bringing out the heavy hitters. There'll be national liberation movements, leaders there, including Angela, Frank Chapman, the brother, I can't remember what his name, from the Puerto Rican Liberation Movement. We're becoming, and so we're ready, we're coming, and we're going to see each other here in the streets of Minneapolis, but also in the streets of Chicago and across the country, because we're tired and we ain't going to take it no more. And so one of the young sisters who's helping organize, our young comrades, one of them gave out these flags for Puerto Rico, and so as we introduce our next speaker, Shara, there was a request to wave the flags, and so we'll go ahead and do that as Shara comes up. Oh, not Shara, I apologize. Ashley. I'm sorry, I'm the worst with names. You'll learn that.
Hi everyone, thank you for coming. I am Brian Quinones' wife. I am now a widow, as you all know. So thank you so much for coming out. We can't do it without voices. My voice is not loud enough for them to obviously hear. As much as you guys have seen, we've been going to protest after protest at these council meetings and hitting dead ends, and we're still out here fighting, and it needs to be a lot bigger than just us. So I would like to say thank you for your support. Thank you for your encouragement. Thank you for your sharing on social media. And thank you for your presence out here today. People have been telling me how strong I've been and how well I've been holding myself together. And I want to tell everyone that it's not because I want to, but it's because I have to. I want to tell you that we have to because these tragedies happen and then we have to go straight into fight mode. These deaths don't allow time for the families to grieve. We immediately have to go seek justice for our loved ones. I have 3 important takeaways that I would like to help educate people who are just joining or maybe just returning the life of protest and activism. Number 1 is the media. The media is not telling you all factual information. In an ongoing investigation, they are limited to their information, which happens to be the best story to sell the most papers and to gain the most views regardless of its accuracy. A quote, "The media, this is the media. It will make the criminal look like he's the victim, and the victim look like he's the criminal. If you aren't careful, the media will have you hating the people that are being oppressed and loving the people doing the oppressing." This is sort of a propaganda tactic that I would like to call psychological warfare. That's from Malcolm X. Number 2, your takeaway, the protest. It's our First Amendment right to peacefully assemble. This lets people know, like me, that we're not alone. So many times you hear protesting does not work, that it's such a disruption. I would like to ask you to go follow our Justice for Brian Quinones Facebook page / #BTMC. You can see we do get progress when we protest. How else are we expected to be heard? I don't conform, and you shouldn't conform to their normal. Who holds the right to tell you what is normal? Be the abnormal. Step out of your comfort zone and be the difference. Be the Rosa Parks, be the Colin Kaepernicks, be the Martin Luther Kings, and the Malcolm X's. We're building the future for our kids and for our grandkids. We need to demand change. Yes. Number 3, the most important takeaway to me is silence. Being silent means you are just as guilty. You have chosen the side of the oppressor. And I quote, "In the end, we will remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends." Martin Luther King said that. It's easy for you to sit home and to change the channel and to scroll past yet another story of a life lost on Facebook, to show up when it happens and never to support the days after. It's easy for you to not be present and to stay uninvolved. Silence is compliance, and that's letting the oppressor win. Please do more. You need to start standing up and you need to start speaking up. Our lives are depending on it. Nothing about us without us is for us. That's the system that we're living in today. Brian was a good person, a father, partner, relative, and a friend. He was patient, he was kind, wise, and most of all, he was so awoke to the issues that are happening in our systems, in our country today. We grew up in Burnsville, Minnesota, and we started dating when we were 14 years old. At 16, we were blessed with our only child, Cameron Quinones. The day we became parents was the day that we vowed we would never fall victim to the system, that we were never going to become a statistic that the world set us out for us as minority. We raised Cameron together from day one. We both went to college. We had good paying jobs. We both were 100% involved with all of Cameron's endeavors, but even still, we fell victim to the system, and we are now a statistic. On September 7th, 2019, 3 Richfield officers and 2 Edina police officers took my husband's life. The night Brian was killed, everything that we had ever worked for died too. That is what happens to families when their loved ones' lives are lost at the hands of someone else. We are rallying here today because there is a lack of transparency and accountability from Hennepin County Sheriff's Office and the Hennepin County Attorney's Office regarding the shooting of my husband, Brian Quinones, and I appreciate it when you say his name.
Brian
The facts are straightforward. The police had no justifiable reason to use deadly force against a man who posed no danger to them. Yet, this investigation just keeps dragging on, denying the public the ability to hold these officers accountable. I'm demanding you all be held accountable.
That's right.
Thank you.
I first just want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. Alice Walker said the most common way people give up their power is by thinking that they don't have any. By standing together, you guys, we are powerful and we will make a change. Right now, it's not enough just to raise our kids right. It's not enough to be educated. It's not enough to have a degree. This could be any one of us standing out here for another one's family in the near future with these police on the loose. We want to demand justice for Brian, justice for Isaac, and justice for every family that has lost somebody to the hands of police brutality. Malcolm X said, when a person places the proper value on freedom, there is nothing under the sun that he will not do to acquire that freedom. Whenever you hear a man saying he wants freedom, but in the next breath he is going to tell you what he won't do to get it, or what he doesn't believe in order to get it, he doesn't have that freedom. A man who believes in freedom will do any and everything to acquire and preserve his freedom. We demand justice for Brian. We demand justice for Isaac. We demand transparency and prosecution of all of the officers involved. Hennepin County, you are responsible to hold them responsible.
That's right. That's right.
To the city's Richfield, we demand Joseph Carroll, Dylan Schultz, and McCabe Steary to be fired.
Fire him!
Right.
Edina, we demand Nicholas Pedersen and Benjamin Wandini to be fired.
Fire!
They are murderers. They are murderers.
That's right.
That's right. Okay. Justice for Brian!
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 Fire killer cops!
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 King D out here. The Black CNN.
Listen.
I remember you was conflicted.
Great independent journalism right here.
Sometimes I did the same. Abusing my power, full of resentment.
Okay, so again, we are here in downtown Minneapolis.
Resentment
We just
that turned
heard
into a deep depression.
from family members
Found myself screaming in the hotel
Brian
room.
Quinones as well as Isaac Aiden.
Lucifer was all around.
We're gonna try to talk to some folks. There might be a march in a minute. I'm not
So I
really
kept
sure.
running
This might be a little music
till I
interlude
found
for
a
a
safe
moment.
haven. I was trying to convince myself the stripes I got. Making myself realize where my foundation was.
We're gonna speak to Mr. Don. So, do you want to introduce yourself, who you are, and who Brian was to you?
My name's Don Williams. Brian's my grandson through his marriage to my granddaughter Ashley, and I'm his son's great-grandfather.
So how did you find out about the situation September 7th, and how has your life changed since then?
He visited our home and said some stuff to Cameron, and we decided to follow him when he left. So Cameron and I were actually at the end of the scene. So we got there like right at the end of it. So how's it changed my life? I don't think the way I thought before. I saw way too many things that night that didn't sit right with me. Obviously, the killing of Brian was, I think, clearly unjustified, unnecessary. I've watched what it's done to my family and torn my family apart. There's times I just can't think straight, or I lose focus, and I think about Brian and I think about my family. So one thing I found out since it happened is you can't protect your family. So there's no resource, and the police departments that are involved don't offer any help. There's clearly no transparency. So that's why we go to city council meetings and argue and fight, and we don't want to do that. We'd like to get the information that's entitled to us, but we're forced to do what we've done to get any kind of response, and I think that's just incredibly insane. We are the victims here. Brian's the victim here, and so are the family members. And there's no concern, there's no compassion, there's no support, and it just changes everything.
So you've gone to how many city councils? Multiple city council meetings. You've experienced this firsthand. What do you, when it comes to, it looks like we're about to march. The last question real quick. When it comes to this, what do you think justice looks like to you and for the family of Brian, for the rest of your family?
Well, I think the police were in the wrong. I think they need to be held accountable. I'm a white man, but the rest of my family, my grandkids, my great-grandkids are all children of color, and that concerns me greatly. I'm scared for them, and I think that the people that did this need to be held accountable, and these people need to start being prosecuted. So people in the higher up that hold these positions, and they need to listen to these people, and from what I'm learning quickly is they don't. So that needs to change. It's part of a systemic issue that needs to change. So it needs to be from a community perspective, and there needs to be someone other than cops investigating cops to make this work. So,
from your brief experience with it, what do you think that someone could be, or that other entity besides police investigating police? Do you have an idea as to what the other entity could be?
Well, I think it has to be community-based. I don't think it needs to be police. I think there need to be victims, family members, as part of whatever the solution is. That voice needs to be heard, and it's not being heard. And I get that I'm 6 weeks into this, and I know we haven't been heard. So that's what needs to change.
Anything else you want to say?
No, I'm going to go join my grandson and make sure that he's okay.
Thank you. Appreciate it. What's up, John? You want to talk or what? We're out here in another one. It's not stopping, as you pointed out 2-3 years ago. Every summer, you said, and this happened to be September. What's going on with you, man?
This is another. I ain't psychic though, bro. Like I always say that it's always going to be another one of these situations. But there's a reason why the Richfield City and the police department and the Hennepin County Sheriff. It's the reason why they don't want to put the video out, bro. It's because of what's on the video. It's like another snuff movie. There's always that notion that when they get that call over the radio that there's an armed black man or unarmed black man, just the word black pumps their adrenaline up like that, man. So I almost want to tell them to stop calling out black over the radio when they sending these calls out. And from what I heard, this brother was executed, and so here we are again, another snuff movie being hidden from the public. You know what I mean? We gonna have to challenge this at a not just the city level and the county level, bro. We're gonna have to challenge this through the state level, through legislation, and through empowering people, man, to start taking some of these seats, man. I say that over and over again. You remember 609.699, the use of deadly force statute, right? We have to get them to change the wording in that statute, because the wording in that statute allows these police officers, and this is a law that's all over the books across the United States, bro. So we got to get them to change the wording that allows officers to say, hey, I was scared. Because right now we scared of them, you know, we scared to call them. So police officers not able to police because they're killing us, right? Yeah, so man, we're gonna have to attack this from every level, man. So we have to figure out what after the protests look like. You know, and that's another action item, man, that I'm trying to tackle too, is what does after the protest look like? You know, so yeah, that's probably it. thank you as always, man. I love you, man.
I appreciate you. Love you too, man. We're gonna catch this. It's just light rails now. The light rail station is being occupied.
Send those killer cops to jail. The whole damn system is guilty as hell. Indict, convict, send those killer cops to jail. The whole damn system is guilty as hell. Indict, convict, send those killer cops to jail. The whole damn system is guilty as hell. Indict, convict, send those killer cops to jail. The whole damn system is guilty as hell. Indict, convict, send those killer cops to jail. The whole damn system is guilty as hell. Indict, convict, send those killer cops to jail. The whole damn system is guilty as hell. Indict, convict, send those killer cops to jail. The whole damn system is guilty as hell. Indict, convict, send those killer cops USA. No cops, no KKK, no racist 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 USA.
So now the light rail is both directions stopped. Middle of rush hour on Friday evening here in downtown Minneapolis. This is the City Hall with the jail up here. It's called Under the Clock. This is the Hennepin County Government Center. There's tunnels all up underneath here. It's a federal building 1 block down. The police have now stopped traffic down the block. This is downtown Minneapolis, the seat of power in the metro area. Obviously, the capital is in St. Paul, but the Hennepin County Government Center is here, and the Hennepin County Sheriff's Department is the ones leading the investigation of Brian Quinones. Brian Quinones was killed September 7th, 2019, this last month. Brian Quinones was an artist, a father, a husband. The family was just able to see and view some of the dash cam footage yesterday by Edina police, by the City of Edina, and there was an agreement that said the city would then release the footage to the public. That has not followed. They have not followed through with that. They have rescinded that decision. Richfield followed suit and said they would not they wouldn't release the footage until after the investigation is over, and this investigation is again being done by the Hennepin County Sheriff's Department.
Prosecute the police. No justice, no peace. Prosecute the police. No justice, no peace. Prosecute the police. No justice, no peace.
So again, a lot of people have brought up the possibility of Brian going through mental crisis at the time. Which brings in the other fact of why are police continuing to be the ones that are responding to these incidences. Other people have brought up the fact that last week in Little Falls, Minnesota, the police did not kill somebody when they were trying to apprehend them, although they were fired at by live fire and were led on a 100-mile-per-hour chase, leading others to question the complexion in the case of Brian, in the sense that Brian was a person of color, was gunned down very quickly, mere seconds. So we got the police. There was a unit of bike police that have been assigned to task after this protest. They've now shut off the streets up there. It's getting quite cold out here with this wind. So now the light rails are all stopped up. There's people on the light rail. Some people have got off the light rail.
Our streets! Whole streets! Our streets! Whole streets! Our streets! Indict, convict, send those killer cops to jail. The whole damn system is guilty as hell. Indict, convict, send those killer cops.
Again, thank you all for joining. We're here in downtown Minneapolis. Thank you, Jen, for doing the back end. Thank you, anybody else who's helping from Unicorn Riot Fam. Right now, we're in the middle of a fundraiser, and we're trying to get $5 donors, $5 monthly donors to continue and maintain and expand our services and our coverages. You see this police officer right here chatting with some superiors, is my guess. There's another security up there for Hennepin County Security. Again, this is the Hennepin County Government Center. This big thing. They got court in here. If you break a law in Minneapolis or the surrounding areas in Hennepin County, you most likely will have to go to court here. People are now getting off of the light rail platform. How you doing?
I'm doing good.
So what are you here for?
I'm here for Brian Quinones and Cassidy.
Yeah. Who are they to you? Who is Brian to you?
Brian is my friend's dad.
Wow. What does it mean to you having the police just kill him?
It means he's going through really bad depression right now, and I'm helping him through it because I'm a really good friend. Every day.
Really?
He's getting scared. He has problem going to sleep.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
Can't go to school.
So you all are a support system?
Yeah. Yes.
That's really nice of you all.
Yeah.
What does it mean to you all now that you sort of changed your life to help your friend?
We have to support him, make sure he's okay, safe
at all times.
Yeah. Make sure people don't target him because his dad died.
Wow.
Yep. Every day.
When it comes to justice for Brian, for his son, for your friend, what does that look like to you?
It looks like doing this kind of stuff, getting the police arrested, charging them with second-degree murder. For what they did, it's unfair. It's not fair.
Anything else you want to say?
Justice for Brian. Justice for Brian and Isaac. Yep.
All right, yep. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
So you heard sons, the friends of the son of Brian. Pretty touching. They said they helped him out. It was very touching to see and hear. Definitely, we talked to Cameron. We talked to Brian's son. We talked to his wife and his mother. You want to see that? We have an article up about it, UnicornRiot.ninja. We also have a video spotlighting some of that interview. His son is right here with the flag.
Justice for June!
Right now, the chant is Justice for June. June was June Blevins, Thurman Blevins. His aunt spoke today. We spoke to his sister earlier this last year for an exclusive interview. You can check out that on UnicornRiot.ninja. If you want to see exclusive interview with Isaac Aiden's sister and brother, check out UnicornRiot.ninja as well. Unfortunately, we've had many conversations with a lot of these folks who've lost their loved ones to the police killings. The community continues to grow, unfortunately. They're also continuing to grow support for each other, which is a pretty amazing situation that happens in the midst of pain. These folks have turned it into aspects of grieving power, seeking transparency, seeking justice. Right now, again, this march is for Brian Quinones. Here's his brother, Josh. A ton of his family is out here. Here's Samaya Aiden, Isaac's sister.
Brian! What do we want? Justice! When do we want it? Now! For who? Brian! Say his name! Brian! Say his name! Brian! Say his name! Brian! What do we want? Justice! When do we want it? Now! For who? Brian! Say his name! Brian! Say his name! Brian! Say his name! Brian! What do we want? Justice! When do we want it? Now! For who? Brian! Say his name! Brian!
it, shut it down. If Brian don't get it, shut it down. If Brian don't get it, shut it down. If Brian don't shut it down, shut it down. If Brian don't get it, 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 shut it down. If Sandra don't get it, shut it down. Isaac don't get it, shut it down. Kobe don't get it, shut it down. If Brian don't get it, shut it down. If Brian don't get it, shut it down. If Brian don't get it, shut it down. What do we want? Justice. When do we want it? Now. For who? Brian. Say his name. Brian. Say his name. Brian. Say his name. Brian. What do we want? Justice. When do we want it? Now. For who? Brian. Sam, you can take over. Okay, yeah. We're gonna start walking.
Up this side, everybody be in here. We're gonna move over to the side. Keep on marching. Listen up!
We're live today if you want to do it.
We'll do a little later.
Right, all right, cool. You see the police riding their bikes up in front, trying to do little wheelies, little jumps. The other day during the Don't Choke rally, during the live stream, we caught some of these bike officers, one of them just flip over, fall down, trying to jump over a curb. Again, thank you all for joining. If you want to know more about Brian Quinones, check out our website, unicornride.ninja. Just earlier this week, we had a new post with a video with his mother, son, and wife.
No justice, no peace. Prosecute the police. 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 What do we want? Justice. What do we want? Now. For who? Brian. Brian. No peace. Prosecute the police. No justice, 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 no peace.
Now go back to the
Prosecute the police. No justice, no peace. Prosecute the police. No justice, no peace. The whole damn system is guilty as hell. Indict, convict.
Watch your back.
No justice, no peace. Prosecute the police. No justice, no peace. Prosecute the police. We said no justice, no peace. Prosecute Prosecute the police! We stand no justice! No peace! Prosecute the police! No justice! No peace! Prosecute the police! We stand no justice! No peace! Prosecute the police! No justice! No peace! Prosecute the police! No justice! No peace! Prosecute the police! No justice! No peace! What? Prosecute the police! What? No justice! No peace! Prosecute the police! We say no justice! No peace! Prosecute the police!
Okay, we're gonna hold this intersection. Looking for security. Whose street?
Our street!
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 We're gonna hold this intersection. Whose street?
Our street!
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 That's right.
We're here on 5th and Nicollet Mall. Nicollet Mall is just used for Metro Transit mostly. 5th Street has got the light rail go through it here in downtown Minneapolis. People have been walking down 5th Street, the light rail platforms that go to the other side of downtown. So
that's right, brother. I'm glad somebody can chant here. Yes. Puerto Rican lives matter. Puerto Rican lives matter. Brian's life matters. Brian's life matters. Brian's life matters. Brian's life matters. Isaac's life matters. Isaac's life matters. Isaac's life matters. Jamar's life matters. Marcus's life matters. Phil's life matters. Tawanda's life matters. That's right. All lives matter. That's right. Indict, convict, send those killer cops to jail. The whole damn system is guilty as hell. Indict, convict, send those killer cops to jail. The whole damn system is guilty as hell. Indict, convict, send those killer cops to jail. The whole damn system is guilty as hell. Indict, convict, send those killer cops to jail. The whole damn system is guilty as hell. Indict, convict, send those killer cops to jail. The whole damn system is guilty as hell. Indict, convict, send those killer cops to jail. The whole damn system is guilty as hell. Indict, convict, send those killer
sorry,
cops to
I
jail.
almost walk up on
The
you.
whole damn system is guilty as hell. Indict, convict, send those killer cops to jail. The whole damn system is guilty as hell. Indict, convict, send those killer cops to jail. The whole damn system is guilty as hell. Indict, convict, send those killer cops to jail. The whole damn system is guilty as hell. Indict, convict, send those killer cops to jail. The whole damn system is guilty as hell. Stand up like that! 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 Justice! Now! Brian!
press comes out here with their little cart and stuff. Pretty interesting. Okay, so again, thank you all for joining. This is Nico from Unicorn Riot. We are here in downtown Minneapolis. This is Samaya Aiden, who's leading the chant right now. Samaya Aiden is the sister of Isaac Aiden, who was murdered by a multitude of police officers. 5 of them shot at him in a July 2nd incident in Egan, Minnesota. If you want to know more information about Isaac Aiden, check out our website. This specific rally and protest right now that you are watching is an emergency protest demanding transparency from Richfield and Edina, as well as the officers who killed Brian Quinones, to be fired and prosecuted. Brian Quinones was killed September 7th by Edina and Richfield police. 5 officers total. All officers are back on the job. They were on paid leave for a very short time. I think one served 3 days in paid leave and was back on the job. Brian's wife, Ashley, when we spoke to her 2 weeks ago, during one of the city council meetings that I continually went to demanding transparency, his wife specifically said that was sort of, she said, where's the correction? Where's the training? Where's the don't do this again? In regards to the officers being on the job so fast. The son, Brian's son, who's 12 years old, can't sleep at night. We just heard from 2 of his friends earlier. We spoke to his son. You check out our website. The last post that we had about families going to see the footage this week on Brian Quinones. There's a video in there. There's also a video in our new post. It's the same video, and it's got his son speaking about his life a little bit and how he's affected. But also to go deeper into that, we spoke to a couple of his son's friends who said they've been trying to help him. But yeah, he can't sleep. Quite a few witnesses of the incident happened were there on September 7th. Brian Facebook lived about 7 to 8 minute of a police pursuit. It was about a 10 to 12 minute live stream before the police ended up killing him. The police gave Brian maybe 1 second after yelling, "Drop the knife." Brian got out of his car after leaving the police on the police stairs while he was listening to Nipsey Hussle Double Up. It was about, like I said, 8-minute police chase, 77th and Portland area. Brian pulls over, stops his car, gets out of his car armed with a small pocket knife, it seemed. Well, that's still allegedly, we don't know specifically. But from screenshots that you can see from the live stream, it seemed like it was a small pocket knife. If that was the case, he got out with it. The police yelled, "Drop the knife." Within a mere, less than a second, they pumped about 15 bullets into Brian. And maybe 16 shot at Brian. We don't know how many hit him. He was just given the homicide label on his death certificate very recently. Hennepin County Sheriff's Office, or Sheriff's Department, Sheriff's Office, excuse me. I think they're the ones doing the investigation. It's either office or department, I'm not really sure. Edina and Richfield are the officers who fired. So the city of Edina and Richfield had originally said that they would attempt to release the video in efforts of transparency to release it to the public earlier than the investigation was being over, and they both rescinded on that decision. They both flip-flop. They voided their own agreements, basically. They told the family yesterday 2 days ago during a private viewing, they had told the family after the private viewing that they were going to be able to publicly release portions of the dash cam video that Edina had. They backed out on that Friday. Thursday, Richfield, also Lieutenant Drana, specifically stated that they would not be releasing the footage early until the investigation is over, and Edina on their website had stated yesterday that they weren't going to do it. There is clause and there's rules against releasing videos that are part of investigations, but there is also ways to surpass that in the event of unrest, to quell widespread rumors, and a variety of other ways that the footage could be released they decided to ignore that and to ignore their previous commitments to the family and to the public to be transparent about releasing the case files and releasing evidence in regards to Brian Quinones' death. Thank you all for joining. This is Nico from Unicorn Riot. We have Jen in the back end. Thank you, Jen. Thank you all for allowing our platform to continue. All of you out there, you, and you. Speaking to you, thank you so much. This unedited, raw, uncensored live stream is brought to you by you. So thank you all for providing this live view of the Justice for Brian Quinones protest. Right now we have the ability to give out gifts for those who are signing up for $5 a month micro monthly sustaining. That's what we need. We need it. We need a lot of it. We need like 1,000 of y'all to give $5 a month. That would help us so much, because right now we're trying to maintain and expand our nonprofit media platform that we've built for 4 years. We are worker owned. I don't know about worker owned. We don't really own anything. We are worker operated. We all have a part of the collective of Unicorn Riot. Either way, thank you all. Check out our website. We have a fundraiser going on. We got some magnets, some other things to give away. to those who are supporting us, so thank you all. What's up?
Film the motherfuckers at Cosmic Light.
Yeah, for sure.
Do that for a minute.
For sure, yep.
Come on.
I've been filming them.
Well, my name's Fishbone.
You want to talk about it?
I'll tell you two stories.
Yeah, I'll hold
Yo, my name's Fishbone, and the policeman is guilty 50% of the time. You play the game when you're aggressive, when something happens, but they're responsible. When you kill somebody, we're out of line. I'll steal it. I'll take the hit. I'll go to jail for his life. But they're responsible. Film all of them, not just one side of the line. You understand?
Thank you. Yep. Thanks.
No justice, no peace. Prosecute the police. No justice, no peace. Prosecute the police. No justice.
Now we've come to the walk around, the march down 5th Street, stopped the light rail for maybe a half hour to an hour. There was a couple light rails that moved. Mostly stayed stationary as this protest has stopped the movement.
If we don't get no justice, they don't get no peace. If we don't get no justice,
Try to speak to a couple of other of Brian's family, and then we'll take the stream down and let you all have a great weekend. But thank you all again for joining.
give them hell. It's right to rebel. 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 When Puerto Rican lives are under attack, what do we do? Stand up, fight back. When Puerto Rican lives are under attack, what do we do? Stand up, fight back. When Puerto Rican lives are under attack, what do we do? Stand up, fight back. Stand up, fight back. What do we do? Stand up, fight back. What do we do? Stand up, fight back. That's right. That's right. Give yourself a round of applause.
How you doing? Good to see you. Thank you.
These unjust killings ain't right. We need to stand up. Every chance they fucking police.
God's
And I tell you, they're responsible.
Stay tuned for more coverage from all facets of topics from Unicorn Riot. We have a crew going down to Chicago, try to get some coverage of this Chicago teacher strike.
Now!
We got some more police killing footage, bringing forth the stories of those dealing with the trauma.
Justice! Now! Brian! 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 Brian!
Hey, what's up, dude?
Shut it down!
Send them up.
Shut it down! Shut it down! Shut it down!
Get your mind off it.
Shut it down!
All of them.
Fuck 12! Period.
Okay, before we take off, will somebody lead us in the Sada chant? Maybe? Who knows the Sada chant? Come on over here. I said, you should know it by now. You know, everybody should know the
So again, this is the Hennepin County Government Center. Inside there, you see quite a few security officers. Some late nights for some of those folks. I'm not sure if they were workers or what they were doing. Right now, it looks like it's going to finish up with a Sada chant, and then we will try to talk to some of the family members of Brian Quinones.
We usually end off every protest by doing the Asada Shakur chant. If you don't know, Asada Shakur was a political activist and a political prisoner. So repeat after me, okay? It is our duty to fight. It is our duty to fight. It is our duty to fight for our freedom. It is our duty to fight for our freedom. It is our duty to win. It is our duty to win. We must love and support one another. We must love and support one another. We have nothing to lose but our chains. We have nothing to lose but our chains. It is our duty to fight for our freedom. It is our duty to fight for our freedom. It is our duty to win. It is our duty to win. We must love and support one another. We must love and support one another. We have nothing to lose but our chains. We have nothing to lose but our chains. It is our duty to fight for our freedom. It is our duty to fight for our freedom. It is our duty to win. It is our duty to win. We must love and support one another. We must love and support one another. We have nothing to lose but our chains. We have nothing to lose but our chains. All power to the people. All power to the people.
And everybody, before we head out, please bring me the posters. We'll use it for the next protest. We don't want to get rid of those.
Is for families to sign in honor of their family members. I have fabric markers with me. If you want to come and see me, you can sign them.
So we're live right now, so if there's anything you don't want to say, don't say it. And then I'll put it on your cover. So, Facebook Live? Yeah, it's on Facebook, YouTube. So, okay, we're joined by a couple of Brian's family members. You want to introduce yourselves? You can hold on to the mic and just speak about who Brian was, maybe. Let's just start off with that. Who you are and then who Brian was to you.
Well, I'm Quinones-Rosario, and that was my cousin. Well, he is my cousin still, till this day. He was a great man, great father. One of the best men ever, actually. One of the best men in the world, to be honest. He's way different from a lot of people. That was my cousin, though, and we're going to fight for our justice, and we're going to stand and demand and get our justice.
My name is B. Quinones. This is my cousin. I don't know, man. There's a lot of things I can say about Brian. There's too much to say. He was a perfect man, you know what I'm saying? I looked up to him even though I was his big cousin, you know what I mean? He handled his business. He stayed drug-free, sucker-free, off everything, you know what I mean? All he did was take care of his child. All he did was care for his wife. And, you know what I'm saying? It's a bunch of bullshit, you know what I'm saying? But these people out here, they just get to shoot people whenever the fuck they want, you know what I mean? Fuck all that bullshit, you know what I mean? Who the fuck gives them the right?
Nobody.
Can I get a fucking gun? You know what I mean? They won't do that though, right? So, you know what I mean? That's all I'm about to get up off this before I get, you know what I'm saying, all crazy. Because I am that one. So here.
Well, hey, real quick, you said that Brian was really dope person. Before you get out of here, and then we'll ask more questions. What was the favorite memory?
Man, it's bad, man. When I think of Brian, I think of him when he was a little kid. You know what I mean? Just a little chubby little dude. You know what I mean? And that was my cousin. You know what I mean? I didn't have brothers and sisters at the time, so he was my brother. You know what I mean? He was the one I picked on. You know what I'm saying? And you know what I mean? The one I used to teach things to. You know what I'm saying? Because I didn't have a brother. You know what I mean? And that was who it was. And these people take him away from me, you know what I mean? From his family, from his wife, from everybody. He's going to be dearly missed, never forgotten.
Thank you.
Blessed forever.
Thank you, B. Appreciate it. I remember you had also said last time we had spoke last month, or a couple weeks ago, how just dope he was of a father and a cousin. But then also like how you said he was a prophet and also he was an artist. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Well, Brian was a prophet, spoke the word, you know, and if you don't know what a prophet is, I just advise you to go and look it up. not going to go too much into that. I don't really want to go too much into that, but one of my favorite memories with him was probably on his last birthday. We were all on the party bus, and the whole family was there. It was dope. It was dope, and we all got out for his last birthday. We all got together with him for his last birthday.
Doing what he loved to do.
And he was there. He was doing, and he, yeah, and he didn't deserve it at all in any way. So, you know, we're gonna get our justice. We're gonna trust this process, like he said, and it's gonna work out. You know.
Real quick, what does justice look like to you?
Justice, what it looks like to me, I feel that they need to get their badge taken because they don't deserve it, first of all. Second, I feel justice is prosecuting them. You want to know why I feel like justice is prosecuting them? Because they're no different than I am. They're no different from you. They're no different from Brian. They breathe just like we breathe, and they bleed just like we bleed. There's no difference but a piece of metal on their chest. There's no difference. You're human too, and so am I.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Thank
you. It's not even the general cop that's up there. He's fucking solitary. They go being there fucking hurt, dying, thinking about this shit, how they lost their life, right? Sitting in fucking jail, solitary fucking. They just took them out.
I would have let you in anyway because I might be working with
I love the situation. On tactical, I shouldn't be picking fights, but I love the situation for you guys because there was this asshole blowing his nose at the crowd, and so I told him, like, you know, fuck off and have some respect for the dad or something. And then he got all agitated, and I could see that you guys behind me had to go. I didn't mean to create that situation. I shouldn't be doing that.
I just told everyone that he's not worth the attention or time. Well, I wouldn't have even gone over there when he was like harassing protesters. I was like, I don't know where my job boundary is. Like, if
the most trying to secure a couple of interviews real quick, and then we'll take the stream down in a minute.
Yes, sir. What was that? Did you want us to? Not right now, man. I'm still.
Introduce yourself and who you are, and then who Brian was to you, and talk about Brian.
My name is Julio-Rosario, cousin of Brian Quinones. Man, me and Brian, as you can see, I don't have my sweatshirt on me, but me and Brian grew up when, like, 4 or 5 years old, man, always together, always kicking it, man. Like, he's my mentor. Like, I looked up to him. He was my big brother. I didn't have a big brother growing up, you know. He was a person that I always went to for everything, whether it was riding a bike or playing football or if it was my first date, you know. He was my guy, man. Like, this right here, what happened to him is not justifiable. Like, not even only for him, but for any other person in the world, you know what I mean? I don't wish this upon nobody. I want to see everybody happy now, you know. Like, it sucks that we have to go through this, but I want justice for him, man. It's all we can ask for.
What's it feel like losing, even though he's not your by blood big brother, but your big brother? What's that like?
Man, it takes a huge toll on me because, like I said, I was with him like growing up from like 4 years old all the way up to 28 years old, which I am today, you know? And I don't have him anymore. And I went to go try to message him a couple weeks ago, and I came to a realization that I couldn't message him. He wasn't with us anymore. I tried to tell him how I've been doing, how I always used to. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to message him and let him know how I've been doing, and that's one thing that I'll never be able to do, and I'll never get it back, you know? It's crazy.
What's your favorite memory of Brian, if you can go there?
Man, there's too many. There's way too many. I remember one time, it was me, my older sister, my younger sister, Brian, and his sister, and we were at a Walmart with his mom, with Brian's mom. And I remember Brian's little sister goes to Brian and is like, Brian, where's the EBT card? And he turns around with these big old dumb goofy glasses talking about the EBT card's in mom's purse. Oh my goodness, man. Like, that was so hilarious. I could still remember his face to this day. Like, it was so cheesy and crazy, but I love him, man. Love it.
And then, so he was an artist and a father and a husband. It doesn't sound like he was ever anything bad. It sounds...
He was never anything bad, man. He always wanted the best for everybody. You know, whether if it was his last time, he would always give it up to the next person. He always wanted, that never skipped a beat. He was even there for me at my lowest times when I needed stuff, you know. He didn't care about the fame or the fortune or anything like that. He just wanted to see people happy and humble and doing what they love to do. But his music is going to live on forever. Whether everybody knows it or not, it's going to live on forever.
Where can people find his music?
You can find his music on SoundCloud. You can find it on DatPiff, DATPIFF, under Bless the MC. Go on YouTube and type in Bless the MC. His whole latest album, Before He Passed, is on there too as well.
Anything else you want to say?
Not really. I appreciate your time, and I appreciate you coming out here and showing your love for my cousin. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you. Number like that, bro, but trust me, this means a lot to me. Even all these little bit of people showing up to me, man, that means the world. That means the world.
Send love, man. I'm Nico. What's your name?
Sir, if you need my information to write it down, if you want to put it on my name, go right ahead and do it, man.
Let me give you one of our cards, too.
I'll email you and everything, bro. Yes, sir.
We'll be in contact. I'll be around. You too. So we got Ashley, his wife is going off to do another interview. I missed that opportunity, but I might stay live for a few more moments and get that opportunity. Give me a minute.
I'm fine. Hi, Nico. How you doing?
Yes. While Ashley speaks over there, I'm going to try to talk to Ashley in a minute. Would you all want to do an interview?
Okay, we can.
Cool. Yeah, be in it too, yeah.
Oh, right now?
Okay, yeah, right now.
I didn't know you meant like right now.
Yeah, we're alive. So we have 2 family members of police killings and a person who is just consistently consistent in supporting those family members of police killings. You want to talk about where we're at today, Brian Quinones, what happened, bring up your cases real quick. Let's make this just like maybe a 5-minute thing. Okay. And you can grab the mic and go ahead.
My name is Sam. I'm an organizer with the Twin Cities Coalition for Justice for Jamar.
I'm Monique. I'm the aunt of Marcus Golden, killed by St. Paul Police.
I'm Tashira, and I'm the fiance of Justin Tigan, killed by St. Paul Police.
And we were here tonight to stand in solidarity with Brian's family and with all stolen lives, people killed by the police. they didn't release the video this week, the dash cam videos. And it's true. The police nowadays, they're acting very strange. Like, it's almost like they're guilty of something. And we know that they're guilty for killing our loved ones, and especially black and brown people and indigenous people and working poor people. And so we're here to stand up and resist that. We're doing community control of the police, and we're also going to do it. Monique, I hope, is coming with us, and we're going to Chicago, actually, because we're going to go to a national conference, and you'll be coming too. We'll all be there together. We're going to Chicago because we also need a national movement, and I'm going to turn the mic over to family members.
Talk about your story, maybe real quick.
So, yes, my nephew was actually killed by Jerry Doverspike and Dan Peck, two St. Paul police officers, after one of them slipped on ice and his gun went off. And the other officer thought Marcus must have shot him, or he heard a gun go off. So anyway, both of them ended up shooting and killing my nephew. And I'm down here today to stand in solidarity with the Quinones family, because just like in my nephew's case, in which Paul Paulos, the former St. Paul police officer, did a press conference and said there's no videos when my nephew was killed. Well, we found out later that there are videos, right? And we also know, even with Justin Tigan, when he was killed, the videos were just cut off. And Tashira can talk more about that. But when the police delay the release of videos, we have no reason to believe it's for any other reason than to manipulate the video, to chop them up, to figure out what they might delete, what they might say doesn't work. Because I am also an organizer with Twin Cities Coalition for Justice for Jamar, and we still have not seen not one of the one of the videos taken from cell phones. And there were over a dozen cell phones we know that were turned in, where people were saying they had upfront video of when Jamar was killed and that he was he was handcuffed. So it's not justifiable holding out on the video. The video should be released immediately. End of story. They don't need a week. They don't need 2 weeks, because the police officers get to review the video when they get back and they make their story around that video. So why is it a problem if a witness sees the video? They should release the tape, and they should stop playing with his family and give them the video so that they can see it, and it should be unedited. But we know the delay just means they're pushing back, trying to figure out their story and how they can justify it, or what they can release and then hold back the other video that would really incriminate them. So, Tashira. Oh, and thank you, Unicorn Riot. Thank you for always being out here with us.
Just like Monique and Sam said, the reason that they are holding the evidence and they're holding the video is because they have something to hide. When you don't have anything to hide at all, you're willing to go ahead and show what you have. When you have something to hide, you will hold that evidence as long as possible so you can cover up the story or destroy it. I know that they do this to people because they did it to my family. When they caught Justin on the video, it blanks out. So we know why they're doing what they're doing, and that's why we're out here fighting for the truth, for answers. And this is what the family deserves. The family deserves the true answer of what happened to their loved ones. Everyone should be putting themselves in these family shoes and just understanding how this family feels. So we all know the truth of why the police is holding on to the evidence, because they don't want the truth to come out. And we are out here just marching, putting our boots on the ground, fighting for the truth to come out. And we will continue to do that, because we will no longer just allow them and accept this from them to hurt our loved ones like this.
That's right. Yeah, thank you. Any last words you'd all want to say? I mean, you all summed it up really, really well. How can Justice for Brian?
Justice for Brian.
Yeah, and if people want to know what they can do to support the movement, definitely join an organization, come out to the events. Even if you can do stuff like data entry, we have to do stuff like that. Send emails. So what you can do, it all helps and it all matters, because it's about us coming together. And definitely, if you want to join us in Chicago, we'd love to have you in Chicago. We are all going to be there. Families of of people who've been killed by the police are going to be there, as long as with national liberation movements from the Black Liberation Movement, Puerto Rican Liberation Movement. The vice president of the Chicago's Teachers Union, which is on strike, going on strike right now, she'll be there as one of the keynote speakers. And we're not just there to hear speakers, we're also there to learn from each other and do work. And Refound the National Alliance, which was a political organization that got Angela Davis freed from jail. And Angela will be there also as a keynote speaker. So we'd love for you all to get involved and join us. Twin Cities Coalition for Justice for Jamar, Justice for Brian. There was Justice for Isaac Aiden here. We're all working together in solidarity, and with a lot of other different people who do stuff like anti-war work or immigrants' rights work. Get involved. That's really what's most important, is get in where you fit in. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. That's exactly what I was going to ask. I think lighting is pretty good over here. Oh yeah, you got.
Yeah, so we can match, guys.
These are really dope.
Zeta made them like this
Really?
morning.
Really?
Yeah.
Where's
Jeez.
Sorry.
Okay, so we're joined by siblings and the wife. Now, you said a couple times now, widowed. You want to bring up who Brian was? We'll start with there, who you are, and then who Brian was to you.
I'm Ashley Quinones. I'm the widow of Brian Quinones, who was murdered September 7th, 2019 by 5 police officers in Richfield, Minnesota. Brian was awesome. He literally was one of the most woke people I've ever known. He loved good debates about systematic failures. He loved to change the world. He loved donating and doing volunteering, humanitarianism. I'm sorry, you guys.
No, Nico cut off.
Right? No, we're live. Thank God for these people, because seriously, they're killing us in Minnesota, and people don't even understand. Like, I understand there's things going on all over the world, but they're killing us at a extremely alarming rate. I can't tell you enough that this is basically a state of emergency. How are we at 25 murders and half of us don't know the names of the other people that are being murdered, and we are all in the same state? Why is Minnesota not put on the map? Like, our family members were murdered 2 months apart. They're buried in the same cemetery. It's eerily scary to have situations happen like this, and then now here we are, we're family, we're in this fight together. Thank God for these people. Thank God for Unicorn Riot, I want to say as well, because this is the truth. It always comes to the truth of the families and not the police rhetoric that they give to the deceased. So I'll let them speak about Isaac.
I already spoke.
Isaac Aiden was my older brother. He was amazing. And he was a college student at the University of Minnesota. He was a business owner. He was a banker, but I shouldn't even need to say all of his credentials, all of his successes to humanize him or to say that he should be here, because with or without his success, he deserved to be here. And a lot of times I say that he was a college student, I say that he was a banker and an entrepreneur, because he was, but at the same time it kind of is setting an example for other people that if you aren't successful, you don't deserve to be here, and that's not true. So I do want to say that, but my brother deserved to be here. It's been hard for our family to deal with it. It's been over 3 months now, going on to 4 months, and it doesn't get easier. But having met the Quinones family has helped with our fight in many ways, also, as well as healing and gaining that support that we need. Just in terms of 90 officers for one man, for Isaac Aiden, and 150 for Brian Quinones. Like, this is not okay. And the Quinones family gets that. They understand that there were 9 agencies involved for Isaac, and unfortunately, those are the same police departments that were involved for Brian. So knowing that we don't have to go from city council meeting to city council meeting, fight by ourselves, knowing that we have help just makes it all easier.
So when it comes to Brian himself, you all were able to see some portions of the footage yesterday?
Yeah.
And then from my understanding is Edina had said that they would release the footage after that publicly.
Correct.
And Richfield had also said that they would release it in the near future.
Correct.
Way back in early September.
Mm-hmm.
None of that's happened. They flip-flopped on all of that, it seems.
Yep.
Do you want to talk about how that was received by you and your family, and then also how 2 days ago went?
Yeah, Wednesday. Yep.
Wednesday, how'd that go?
Wednesday was awful. I would say even the days leading up to Wednesday were the worst, because we basically spent the whole weekend hand in hand, all of us mentally preparing to see the whole entire truth. And they're not going to release the videos because it's not going to show what they want it to show. And that's why it's important for people not to believe everything you read and believe all these other medias that are spreading false narratives. They're only showing you what they want you to see. And when you see the whole entire thing, not a single thing is the truth. And I was expecting it to make it better, I guess. It didn't make it better. It made me more pissed off. It made me not able to sleep a lot less. I sleep a lot less because now I'm so determined to ensure that he gets the justice he deserves. And once people start seeing it, it's going to create civil unrest just like they all do. And that's why they're not going to come out. And I can't wait until the case is closed so everybody can actually see what happened to him.
So I know you're demanding transparency from Richfield and Edina, also for the officers to be fired and to be criminally charged.
Correct.
What if that happens? That doesn't bring back Brian. You said you lost everything with Brian. Yep. What is some kind of semblance of justice for you?
There is no amount of justice that's gonna be justice enough for me. This system is so disgusting. Everything about it is disgusting, and the justice for me is so deep and beyond what they could ever possibly give me. It starts from the top. Justice for me is everybody getting unrested and getting out of their beds and speaking up and demanding the change. It's no more stolen lives. That's real justice for me. And in a world where we're not all active and where we're all comfortable sitting behind our computer screens and phones, scrolling past things and not being active, it's never going to happen. So until everybody joins in, I mean, it's justice. We all are in this fight, believe it or not. You can think that you're not involved. You are. And there's no amount of justice that can avenge the way that I feel.
So both the families have been hitting up city council meetings, seeking transparency from all these different suburban entities that were involved in both your loved ones' killing. What has that been like for you all to go through that?
Exhausting is the first word. My gosh, we have to go, and it's like we on a whim had to go to the protest for Isaac, and then had to speed up to Richfield when we found out they weren't upholding their end of the bargain.
Same night, yeah.
And it was just like, it's exhausting. Like, it's so unnecessary. And the point is that we're trying to prove is that if you did a little bit of your job and read into your laws and your job, we wouldn't be here fighting for what is rightfully ours. It makes absolutely no sense for us to go and demand things you should have already gave us.
No, I'm good.
I just want to reiterate everything you said because it's absolutely true. It's not necessary, but it just goes to show you that taking the legal avenue isn't a route for us. It's not an option for us because the system was never meant for us. And so it just shows that even in 2019 that our rights are still being violated, our basic human rights, and that we're still fighting for those. And it's just the law. The people in power who are supposed to be enforcing these laws aren't. So we've already seen the police do that, and now it's at the local elected official level, and you're seeing our elected officials pretty much deny us our basic human rights. So our rights are being violated on both ends.
And then just let you guys get back to your lives in a minute. Your life now has totally changed, all of your lives. I know you've talked about specifically at the city council meetings how much this has impacted you as well, and you've talked about it before, and you were in college and taking summer classes and you left. What's your life been like? And then you two, real quick, and then we'll go to you. What has your life been like since the loss of your brother?
It's been really hard. I usually try to limit my sleep to 1 or 2 hours so I don't have to wake up to panic attacks. I had to go back and petition to get, some of my professors decided to fail me once I came back to Minnesota to deal with this, so I had to petition, and I'm still waiting to hear back from my school as to whether I'm getting those Fs removed from my transcripts, and it's affecting my GPA, as well as I paid for the semester that I didn't even get to attend. It's been hard on that end. It's also just been trying to take care of everything back in LA as well as here, and also trying to maintain that energy and that not get discouraged, not let the police departments, the VCA, the prosecutor, all the systems set in place to harass and violate families in our position. It's not easy, and I wouldn't wish this on anyone.
Yeah, I would say the exact same thing. My life after Isaac has been, I don't know, just terrible. Isaac was like my role model. He's a person I looked up to. He's a person who taught me everything. The reason why I got the job I'm in right now, the reason why I play basketball. So Isaac was my role model, and basically he's the person who taught me how to be a man. So trying to live without him every single day is extremely hard, and I don't know how to get through this. And yeah, I'll keep fighting to demand justice, but it's been really hard to live without Isaac.
My life completely changed as well as Samaya's did and Deanie's. We had to end up moving out of our house. They refused to give me my car until recently, and I did get it, and it actually is inoperable, so I still don't have a vehicle. I don't understand how that happened either. And everything, we had schedules that were opposite on purpose so that we could take care of our son. And so now I'm consistently having to operate just me or relying on people that I shouldn't have to consistently ask for. I'm borrowing cars. I'm asking if we can stay over there. You know, the income and the companionship and the talks, and like even still just the other night I was driving home and I'm like, wow, I had a hell of a day today. And I immediately wanted to call him and just tell him what happened to me that day. And it's like, you don't even realize how much you've depended on this person for everything. Like, it's every aspect of your life. It doesn't even matter. Like simple things like, hey, I forgot this ingredient to cook dinner tonight. I don't have that person anymore. And like I said, like before, we've been together our whole lives. And even if we weren't together, we were doing this together. It's never been a separation between us and our duties as co-parents or partners. Like we always have been life partners. And it's hard to find somebody that you basically don't have to speak to. You look at them and you already know what they want to say or what's going on. I can tell his huff. I can tell the roll in his eye. I can tell by the music on how he's feeling. So it's just like, it's hard because you base your life around everything. And then when they die, the whole family dies. People don't realize the whole family dies. Like my grandpa, you know, he's feeling this. He has panic attacks and anxiety attacks. My son tonight, he had to leave. They were having panic attacks here. This is our life. It doesn't matter if people are watching. It doesn't matter if we're behind closed doors. It's the same. It doesn't matter. And it's like for people, you know, all the trolls on social media and all the people that are not in our lives and could care less, you know, we're minority rats in their eyes, you know, it affects everybody on different levels, and we already have it all coming to us at one time. Like, the whole point of it is humanity is almost gone. Like, I don't understand how people don't understand what we're going through or can't put themselves in our shoes. You need to care about other people and what they're going through. Simple.
Any last things that you all want to say?
I want to say justice for Brian Quinones, who was murdered by Richfield and Edina police in Richfield, Minnesota.
Justice for Isaac Aiden, who was killed on July 2nd by 5 officers in Egan, Minnesota.
And I want to encourage everyone to come out to the protest on Black Friday at the Mall of America for Brian and for Isaac, as well as all stolen lives. This year we're at a record high. There have been 25 people killed by police in the state of Minnesota, and the year is not over yet. And so we need to stop. We need to put the Black Lives Matter in Black Friday. Please come join us, Mall of America, on Black Friday.
Perfect.
Thank you, Nico.
Hugs.
Yes.
Thank you.
Send them love.
Always. Thank you.
Send them love together.
I can't wait to see what happens.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you. Man. Send them love to you. You heard it. This is Nico from Unicorn Riot. We're here in downtown Minneapolis. This is the clock. Under the clock. It is the Hennepin County. Yes, I am. Let me. Again, thank you all for joining us. Nico from Unicorn Riot. We're going to take the stream down. There's a bunch of skaters out here doing their thing. Again, this was Brian. It was a lot of Brian Quinones. That was Brian Quinones' wife and Isaac Aiden's brother and sister. Again, this is only available through your all support. Right now, we have a $5 donor drive that we are trying to get people to sign up for $5 a month, monthly subscriptions. And we do have some gifts for you all if you are to sign up for it. Again, thank you. We're going to bring the stream down. Thank you for Jen on the back end. Thank you all for joining. Again, check out our unicornriot.ninja. We do have $5 monthly donation giveaways. We really, really need your support as we go into 2020. Keep Unicorn Riot going. And again, thank you all so much. This is Nico, Jen on the back end, other crew of Unicorn Riot. You heard from Brian Quinones' family. Here's Brian Quinones' wife. And check out unicornriot.ninja for more information on Brian Quinones' death. Thank you all. Peace.